This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Born to Rise, an incredible foundation that offers a platform for regular people to share their heartfelt stories of how they overcame hardship and trauma. Born to Rise hosts annual events with guest speakers from around the world that come to talk here in Montreal. They are planning to expand across Canada. For more information, visit borntorise.net and stay connected with such a powerful cause.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we should throw in some beatboxing on every ad. Are you tired of wearing the same old boring clothes? Don't you want clothes that represent something that you're passionate about? Or just something that makes you and your friends laugh? Question mark. You do. It's a rhetorical question. Then you could go and check out www.stylishremix.shop. Oh yeah. They have super awesome t-shirts, hoodies, socks with funny puns, movie references, and cute avocados to brighten up your wardrobe and make your style unique and remixed.
Boom.
Use the code name CHIMPS10 and save 10% on any and all purchases. Thanks, guys.
They got really cool shirts. They got like one that I laugh at. It's like two lightsabers hitting each other, and it says lit underneath.
That's a good one.
So yeah, codename Chimps10, and you get your 10% off. So check it out. Welcome to Curious Chimps Podcast. I'm your co-host Nathaniel Pearl,
And I'm Sammy Sheva.
and welcome.
We here at Curious Chimps are law-abiding citizens. We do not endorse anything illegal. And anything we discuss is for entertainment and not information purposes. We are not experts, and nor do we claim to be. So please, consult doctors, do your research, read the label, and for the love of all that is holy, be safe. All right, let's talk about drugs.
Curious Chimps.
We have fucking listeners from Australia,
We're
from
international.
Thailand.
Nice.
We have a huge following in the States, actually. It's like almost tied with Canada, which is hilarious.
That's amazing.
Who's listening from the States? What's up?
Yeah, give us a shout out on Facebook or something. Or some better media that people actually use now.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And on that note, I guess, yo, what's up?
What's up, man?
We got a new guest on today.
Yeah,
My
I'm
boy.
Johnny. I'm basically Sammy's friend for a long time.
Dude, we've known each other like 10 years.
You think?
You realize that?
No.
8 years, 9 years?
9 years, yeah. Wow.
That's insane.
I love when that happens, when it's like, fuck, it's been that long, you know?
Not even noticed. No.
It's like 1 or 2 years in, I was like, okay, this guy's my bro. I was just like- and then it's like, it's the same thing with you and Ramsey. I'm just like,
That's in.
oh, has it already been blank years? It's
Yeah.
like, whatever.
Yeah.
Whoa,
It's
whoa,
like,
whoa.
I think we became Facebook friends through Sammy, and like, I follow your memes and shit. And
Yeah.
your videos, you kill me, man.
Oh, you're like my one true shit poster. Like, you're my one true
I
shit
post
poster.
a lot of things just that made me laugh, and just that makes me laugh. So I guess that makes people laugh. People
Kills
laugh.
you, man.
Same.
It's like a job, though. It's
Yeah.
like whatever your mood is, you're pumping stuff out. You're like,
yeah, fortunately, it's an addiction at the same time, and you're on your phone all the time. But
like him with his case just now.
yeah, that's exactly what he
With
said.
the phone's
It
recording
made me
and he's
think of
fucking
that.
touching it. Dude, I do that. I just spin my phone like a fidget spinner. I don't stop. It's bad.
That's still an addiction.
I was at work. The guy gives me a fidget spinner. He's like, stop being on your phone in meetings.
Wow.
Mm.
Use this, you fucking ADD kid. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right. I start fucking.
Did it work?
I just need to do something with my hands. Like if not, I feel like I'm just like sitting there, like trying to sit still,
Yeah.
and then I'm not listening.
Do you
So,
think
yeah,
that? Do you think
maybe
that
I
was
gotta do-
a learned programming from our phones, or is that something you've always had?
I don't know. If I go far back, I think I've always been a little like my mom said. I was touching my fingertips in the crib.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I was just playing with my hands.
You're
since
just
I was
ready
a
for the
fucking baby.
keys.
I was
Maybe you need to like be active for your brain to work, like to have an
Yeah.
attention, to be able to how do you say, like to understand what's going on, to analyze. You have to like
put something else on
Yeah.
pause, kind
Yeah.
of like keep the monkey busy.
yeah.
Well, you're like a hands-on learner, you know, and maybe that's
I
why
really
you just need
am.
to touch and feel and look at something.
Hands-on
from all
learner.
Ayo, sex
No.
joke.
Pun. Put that on the t-shirt, Styler remix.
Ooh. Yo, man, I don't know. I feel. I used to think it's like I have a bad memory or this or that. Now when I'm in class or something, I don't take notes because I know I'm not paying attention. It's like watching an anime on subs instead of dubs. And I'm not like, maybe I'm just a slow reader as well, but I'm like not getting the most out of my experience because I'm like reading and then looking up, and it's like anime is known for being beautiful, so I'm not looking at the fucking show, and then it becomes like a frustration. It's kind of like people who have math anxiety. Like I never do mental math, so when someone's like, oh, it's like 47 times 6, and I just freeze for a second because I'm like, oh, I'm bad at this. And it's that limiting belief. And then some other guy who's just like, whatevs, he just pops it out. So I never get better at it because I never get the practice. It's like a fucking run-on effect.
Dude, ask me mental math in Vipassana. I was on point.
Yeah, you were just doing mental math.
I was breaking down every number. Yeah, I went to Vipassana. And the podcast should be released by the time this one's released, like my experience there. Okay. You ever heard of it?
Well, yeah, through him.
Nice.
And through the podcast that you guys shared. I've been listening to a lot of, till the 8th episode, I think.
Nice.
And I heard great things about it. I actually asked him if it'd be possible to go eventually, maybe in the future, just to deal with these little demons that we have in our heads. I think it's good for that. It's good. It's like shrooms. It's one of the same things. It's a
very similar mindset in what it does. That introspection is just, it's funny how we can take a mushroom, for example, to alter your state to get these perspectives, or you can do a 10-day silent retreat where you eliminate all stimulus. It's like you're both going to the same location, just two different avenues.
Yeah, I definitely believe in introspection. It's a important part of like growing up and being a better human being and being smarter emotionally and understanding like other people, what they're going through, and it puts you in a position where you actually can step back and say, well, okay, I understand this person is acting this way because they're in this position in their life.
Yeah, empathy.
Yeah, empathy.
I would like you're honest with yourself in the introspection. So then you look at somebody else and you go, oh, like I would do this if I was them, which is kind of true for everything. Yeah, it's like if you go to the extreme, like I would have Hitlered if I was Hitler. I would have Genghis Khan'd.
And that takes a lot to realize that, and that's like part of the work is like, no, I can see that how that person came to that path, you know, and it's like I could have went to that path had I went down that road.
Coco says, like, I mean, he was quoting like David Goggins. I think I've even said it on the podcast before, but he talks about the accountability mirror. And it's like this weird, it's like instead of bypassing guilt or letting it shut you down, which happens with me a lot, it's like, no, like eat some of the guilt. Like don't stuff your face and don't just drown in it kind of thing. Because then you will shut down and avoid it in the future. But just go, oh, I did this. This is my fault. It could be a positive thing too. Like you're one of the most introspective people I know. I'm gonna be honest, because I feel like my catchphrase from like grade 1 to Sec 5 was like, hey, you know what I realized? Like people used to make fun of me because I would just come in and say that and start a conversation. Hey, you know what I just realized? And then I would say some crazy, random, maybe deep, maybe stupid, maybe funny, and I just kind of lost it. And just I'm trying to find my place like in real physical life now, and like the brain kind of like shut down a little. And every time I talk to you, you just come in with these fucking things, man. And I'm like, oh, I can just picture you like sitting and thinking. Like you just take time and you're like, oh.
I've done that a lot through, as you know, like I went to do a taxi driver in Nunavut. Like in Iqaluit, one of the capital of Nunavut, basically it's Iqaluit. And went there, did taxi drivers and dealt with a lot of people, a lot of Inuits, and there's a lot of issues that goes on in those cities, and it just gives you so much introspective, like on yourself, like how to deal with that. I've grown so much from that, from learning just patience, just being patient with a difficult person, a person who is angry, who has hurt, and to understand and putting yourself in that position and understanding and even if they're being angry with you and being mean and being whatnot, just taking that position where you're being kind to them. Nice. Because they never felt that. They never, and those communities, they never seen someone who loved them, who told them, I love you. Like they say I love you because
intellectual.
I
reflex,
find, like. No, it's a reflex. Akaluk. They say akaluk. And actually there's a joke that you said to me, and I'll tell you after.
I forgot about that.
They say akaluk. Akaluk means I love you. And they say that a lot, and I see it a lot, but few people in my cab have sat down and told me about real love, which is like, no, we have to like love each other and unite each other. And I sat down each time I had that lady or a lady who or someone who would think like that, I would give them a free ride.
Wow.
Just to empower that, just to keep going. You're pushing. And seriously, it was a beautiful experience as much as it was a frustrating one, but introspectively, it was beautiful.
Wow.
You grow a lot from that.
Sounds like your own little trip, your own little Vipassana or something. You know?
It is, yeah. And then you were saying something about silent retreat, and I was thinking about that. It is kind of a silent retreat in my mind where I'm all alone in that world, and you come out of there different.
Nice.
In a positive way.
Yeah, man, perspective is huge. And the more you encounter people with like fucked up backgrounds or different stories, and seeing how they navigate through this life based off of that, it's like the more you soak that in, it gives you little fruits of information that add to yourself. It can, or it can go the opposite. You could have been that cab driver, being like, "Yeah, fuck you, get out of my car," but you came with like an approach of kindness, or maybe at some points it didn't happen, but like.
No. Of course,
that's reality.
I think the important part in all that is that you forgive yourself.
Yes.
Because if you don't, then you just go down that rabbit hole of negativity, and then it just starts building up like a negative world around you, and that's
all you'll see.
Unfortunately, that's the last trip that I went through. That's what happened. I went through that. Even if I was trying to be good, it seemed like all the universe was negative towards me. But I'm noticing that it was me who was thinking like that, and it just kept. It's a vicious circle.
Yeah.
You're tapped into it also. You start getting in that mode, so you start vibrating with that level.
Yeah.
And then it's harder to transmute it. Like you're in a better mood, or you're just, equanimous or expecting it and chilling, and some guy comes in, positive or negative, you know what to do. C'est comme un triage. You're just like, okay, this guy comes in, I give you love. This guy comes in, he's giving me love, cool, I give you a free ride. I encourage that, you have a little game plan. But now, consciously or not, your game plan is like, fuck, like you just have a whatever it is,
But even then, feeling. I would have to be nice. I would try to combat that negativity by being nice and trying to help my karma or something like that.
It's the way out.
Yeah,
that's what sucks, because you're not in the mood. But then I notice it a lot with like my parents or something. Like if I give them lip and I'm just being a fucking kid, and being like, and like my tone and my like, what do you want? I don't feel good for like the rest of the day. It's on me. I did that
because that was whatever reaction.
Yeah, it was like reaction, like not like thoughtless, and maybe I wasn't even in a bad mood, but I just kind of expect. I just go, oh, this is gonna suck, like you just boom. I put the story before the story happens, and it just comes with the experience. I can't say that I'm any more mature or less mature than I've been. I just notice the pattern now, and with luck or with being in a good mood, whatever the fuck caused it that one day where I didn't act like a fucking shithead, I just go, I'm like in the car, I'm going to do what, I'm going to work or something, and I just go, fuck, man, like I'm glad I act like a shithead. I just feel lighter. I'm just not carrying that.
You didn't have that weight.
Yeah. And if you learn that, then you're like, oh fuck, bro, I could transmute it anytime I want.
Yeah. That was like a story that in Vipassana, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but how it works in like the most like from the widest perspective, so I'm not going to go into the details, but like you do the meditation, and then at night there's like a course that we watch, and it's like this guy is explaining the technique, and he gives us stories and just like applications to the technique. So one of the stories that it's actually perfect for this scenario was like he's talking about Buddha when he created the center of Vipassana, and like people were going to him, and he was making it clear that it's not a religion, so you can practice whatever you practice. This is just Vipassana, it's just for yourself. So this, I think it was like this high priest's daughter came, and then she loved it, and then she brought all her family, and then like this high priest got super fucking pissed, and he's like, I'm gonna go to Buddha, I'm gonna scream at him, I'm gonna rip his head off, he's converting everyone. So he goes to Buddha and just screaming, you motherfucker, like every bad word you can think of. And it was in India, so the insults are more like, you dog, you donkey, So he was telling Buddha all these things, and Buddha just said like, sir, when you have guests at your house, what do? You offer them gifts? He's like, of course I offer them gifts. They come to my house, I give them gifts. He said, okay, your gift I do not want. I do not accept this gift. All that shit you were saying to me, you keep it. It's your gift. And it's like, it's that, it's like, whatever's happening externally towards you, you have the opportunity to take that gift in, to fucking let it absorb you and scream it back, or you just say, yeah, this is yours, man. You keep this. I'm good. It's a hard one.
It's very hard. It's very hard when they start to get physical. That's the thing. I would have a situation where I was in a car, and when they become negative, I just shut down. I don't give out no energy. My energy stays zen. I ignore them. I just go. Even if they start talking to me, whatnot, I just ignore them and I keep going. At some point, I get some guy who comes in with a metal bar in my car, and he's like, he's on something. I don't know what it is. And dude, have you ever gone to penitentiary, bro? Have you ever gone there? And I was like, ignoring him, not paying attention. I don't want to give you any energy because you're going to use that energy negatively. You're not going to understand it. Dude, have you ever gone to the penitentiary, bro? He keeps repeating like 3-4 times. And I'm like, I want to bring him to his location as soon as possible. Nice, yeah. And at some point he says, have you ever killed someone? Huh? And he's trying to, there's a lot of bark and no action I've seen from their reaction, right? And at some point he grabs me by the shoulder, and I just snapped. Once he touched me, I just turned around and said, don't you fucking touch me, bro, because I had that energy I was building it up, and I had to let it out to let him understand that I'm not playing with you. I'm not down with your games, that your mental games you're playing. And at that moment I just took a step back, and what did you do? Why did you do that? After I let him go. At that moment, he left me alone. He said, okay, man, sorry, man. And then he started apologizing, you know. As much as they're that way, when they're not on and I've said this to the Inuits in my vehicle, like I've said, I love Inuits. They're humble. They're smiling people. They're loving people. They want you to know about their culture and whatnot. But the problem is the alcohol. The alcohol over there just ruins them. Yeah, ruins them. And it's not a they're not. There's no sources to help them out. There's no how do you say that? There's no resources to help them out. They're in the world where not a lot of people are giving a fuck about them. And when I would step in my car and empower them, I would say, like, no, you Inuits are like wolves. You're all leaders. The only thing is that you're not united, and that's what's making your downfall right now. It's making you guys not rise up above your problems.
Is that a sense of community that they're missing?
The community's there. It's just they don't care about one each other. They will fight between each other and not care about their brothers. And I would see fights going on in the street, and I would stop my car and say, stop. I have it recorded. Stop fighting. You guys are brothers. You're Inuits. Love each other. And I would scream that out of my car. Then it would take a step back, and it would be like, hey, that's true. And then it would just grab each other and just go walk and keep walking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, you talked about that so much when you came back, when I did my ceremony, and then you came back and we went to go see Ramadan. Oh, remember you were just walking in the street and like love bombing random people? Like you had like 5 fucking events, you know? Like
yes.
And I was just watching you like I know this intellectually, but it just seemed like you had applied it a lot recently, so you had this momentum and it was fun to watch.
Absolutely. And when I come back here, I lose it. And I think it's because the society here that surrounds me, they're not in that mode where you help out people, or, you know.
I can relate, man. After ceremony, come back to this part of the town, and it's just like, okay, everyone has these walls.
Yeah.
You know, and we're all together, but like we're carrying walls in front of each other. Yeah. It's so hard to pierce in the city. I don't know why. I guess it's the momentum, right? Everyone's on the go. And when you go somewhere where it's like more remote, it's all of a sudden, yes, there's their problems, but there's more of an openness that you can pierce into a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think you're alone too. Since you're alone, you're like, what do you want to do? I'm saying that because I'm that person. I'm alone. I'm like, I wanted to help people. I wanted to see them. I wanted to. Sammy knows me as someone who pushes people up. Nice. I will push you up to, dude, you are this. Realize that you are this. You are strong. You're capable of whatever. Like, you are this person. And I would go there and I would try to do the same thing with them. I made amazing friends, man. These guys, you would have rentals in Nunavut, meaning these guys, they don't have taxi limousines. So they would rent you out for $70 an hour. They would rent you out. They would go around and they can do whatever they want in the car. smoke weed, drink alcohol, whatever you want. You decide basically. And I would drive around with my friend, which I can say he's my friend now, Jason, man. We're 5 days apart of birthdays. He's one of my has the same name as Jason, my other friend, and I'm like, dude, connected right off the bat. And we start talking, and I start empowering him. Like, dude, he says, I want to get out of Iqaluit. There's nothing good here. There's always problems. There's always drama, and it's a small community, so it's understandable why there's a lot of issues, and everybody knows your business. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of issues. And basically, I'm empowering him. Like, dude, like you're able to go wherever you want in the world. I believe strongly that Inuit culture should be shared around the world. Nobody knows about Inuits. People are like an Eskimo. They still believe, and I'm sorry I say that if I offend people by saying Eskimo, because that offends them if you call them Eskimos. But they believe they're Eskimos. There's people who lives in igloos and eat raw meat. That's what they believe. But there's so much more.
See, I never knew that was real until I started reading on the internet. Like people legit believe that there's like northern part of Canada is just a bunch of igloos and Eskimos living there.
Yeah. I guess like maybe some. It's kind of like a running joke, but there must be some people in the States or like some other parts of the world that think that we're like that. Yeah. Like you go even more north, and there's cars, buildings. Like it's smaller community. It has its different problems. It's more of a selected gene pool or whatever you want to say, politically correct. But like it's still like humans just expand and build wherever we go. I'm sure there's some fucker somewhere in an igloo doing it old school, but like. It's not what you're experiencing. Maybe you were a little closer to it, or maybe it's like when we go hunting, like we don't live that way, but we can. I don't know. Personally, I have no idea. Every time you talk about, like, you give me a little piece of the area. Yeah.
So do you go often, or is this like a one experience in your life?
No, I went 3 times in total. First time I went to work for a restaurant. Second time I went into cab business, and the last time I went cab business again. And to be honest, I went there for a certain reason for myself, to get out of my rut that I had here, my mental like state that I was in. And I wanted to just se dépayser, like we say in French, get out of your environment and just a new environment where you lose yourself and you can be yourself, right?
That's huge. When you get out of the boiling pot.
Get out of your comfort zone. Yeah, it's very important. Yeah. And that was I was so scared when I went there the first time. I thought I was gonna die. There, and it's just fear, only because it was unknown. Yeah. Second time I went, fear again. I thought I was gonna die because of the taxi. I heard so many stories about the taxi being dangerous and this, that. And it's fear. And what I learned was, if you're scared, do it. You will take a giant leap in your brain so big that you will go through shit and you will realize, dude, it's a joke. I was scared for this. Imagine what I can do next. Yeah. And that's taxi business. I was scared for. I was in the daytime, and I was supposed to go night. And I heard so many stories about nighttime that were afraid, like were scaring me. That I said I can't do night. For like first 2 weeks I said I can't do night. And you know what? I took a step back. Why are you afraid? Do it. Nice. I said do it. And I did it. Nighttime, and I grew so much from it.
Wow. Yeah. That's an odd one, fear. And like it's also an amalgamation of everyone's opinion and worry that's put into you. It's like you hear all these things, oh shit, we're supposed to be afraid. But like, what am I afraid of? And then you explore that question and then realize, oh, it's not what everyone's been reporting back. Like, it's obviously there's moments that are probably uncomfortable, but it's usually most of the time for fear. It's never what the public or what the norm is.
Yeah, there's extenuating circumstances and like kind of fringe experiences. Like there's these acute moments where something horrible happens, and then that's what you worry about because that's the horrible thing that you want to avoid. I don't, it makes me laugh also. I noticed this with a lot of people. I noticed it when I traveled also. There's something worse about dying not at home. I don't know why. You're just like, oh, I'm going to die here. I don't know why you're like, oh, I'm going to die and I'm not even home. Like as if it's better to die at home or something.
It all comes out to comfort, man.
But well, the comfort zone thing is big. But like you were saying, why am I afraid? And then you said like you're exploring that question. I don't know if you do though. I feel like you ask it rhetorically. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't give into it. Like, I feel like I give into it. I look for the reasons. I'm actually asking myself that question, and it doesn't necessarily help me. But the way you said it just now was like, why am I afraid? As if to say, I don't have a good reason to be afraid. It's literally just stories. Like you recontextualize it, and then you're like, let's do this anyway, from experience or whatever the wisdom is that makes you go forward. You know, like
I think more once something makes me take a step back, I want to push forward, more like that. I won't ask myself what. I take the time and meditate and take the time to ask myself what what makes me afraid. But instinctively, if it makes me afraid, I want to push forward. And I've been like that all my life.
Okay.
Like, I know you're a martial arts guy, and I was afraid of like a lot of people, and I would get in street fights when I was a kid with everybody. I don't care who it was. I would pick a fight that would go, and that's just my fear response, and it's an adrenaline response, and I'm an adrenaline junkie myself. Yeah. So I that's why I respond, I think, with fear that way.
That makes sense.
That was my childhood too. It was just always getting into fights and like beef and like scraps and all this kind of stuff and just altercations. And I never knew what it was till I found martial arts, and I'm like, oh shit, it's just like you have this like thing to prove, this and it's like when you back a scared animal into a corner, it's going to attack. Yeah. And that's like how I was operating my whole life up until martial arts. So it's just like this pent up ball of energy, and just like, you look at me, bro, and then just get into like this altercation, which was completely useless. And now it's like that's so tamed, and I guess it's because of overcoming so many different fears and realizations that, oh shit, okay, let's dial this back a little bit. You know?
It sounds like it started off as like I mean, not to disparage it, but like, yeah, there's nothing bad about it. But it sounds like it started off as this kind of like machismo, like a little ego trip. Absolutely. And you're just like, it's like your own brain is like, oh, you're afraid right now. And you're like, fuck you, brain. I ain't afraid of nothing. And then you just start fist fighting random people, you know? But then it turns into like, oh, I was afraid of this. Like, you just start seeing
insecurities. Yeah. Your insecurities pop up, and you realize a lot of things about yourself. And well, I guess you at a later age.
Yeah. A lot of stuff comes
never in
the
moment.
Never in the moment. No. I love the expression "youth is wasted on the youthful."
Yeah, I love that word.
I feel like I'm in between. I'm getting older, but I'm still quite young, and that phrase dances around in my head a lot. And I feel like now I'm kind of gathering wisdom more consciously and experiences more consciously, because we talked about it a lot, but it's like there's a lot of conscious effort you can do, but in the end, you just kind of realize that like you're a fish in a pond, and you can kind of choose which pond you're in. So like you're like a really cool fish, and it's like if you're in a small pond, you're going to stay small. You can go into a different pond. You might have some new fucking things trying to eat you, but you're going to get bigger, and you're going to literally grow, the way the analogy goes.
Comfort zones. Again, it comes back to that. It comes back to I'm a musician myself. I play guitar, and I notice if you're going to play something and be comfortable, you're never going to grow. You have to suck at it for like a week at it and practice it, and then it comes easily, and then wow, I got this in my pocket, I got this tool in my pocket, so I'm gonna be able to grow with that and be a better musician. It's a learning process. Every good guitarist in the world will always tell you they will never be at the top point of at the peak of their skill, because there's no peak. You just keep learning. It's the same thing. It's relatable to life. Life is the same thing. It's a learning process. Entrepreneurship, which I was reading in another book, which it's always a learning process. Everything is a learning process, and as long as you're willing to always be learning, then you'll be good. That's how I have to see it.
It's like the last podcast
training.
It's like the last podcast I was talking about. Like, there's no aha moment. I made it. Like, here I am, feet up. I finally got it. It doesn't exist. No. It's an illusion. It's like when you're at that aha moment. No, there's a whole bunch of other shit to fine tune and screws to tighten. And
it's a little trap, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I fall for that often. I like comfort. It's like I still bite down on that. I'm still chewing it. Like, oh, it's a bad thing. Comfort zone. Like I'm literally I'm surrounding myself in a thing where I will not learn.
It's insidious.
It's an unlearning zone. Like comfort is, it is insidious because comfort's awesome.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
Very comfortable.
Yeah. But I think that's why it's important to just constantly check that, you know, and when you're feeling those moments like, oh, it's all good, like you need to look for something to just push you back a little bit and just work through that and keep going.
The thing is, you have human emotions as well. Sometimes you don't feel like it. Sometimes you come down with the I don't feel like it, and that just makes you...
That's where I think ritual is a huge thing, where it's like there's something that you do constant, whether it's like a yoga practice or some type of training, something that like it's a constant in the formula. So even if you're in those states, you still have to do this. You have to. It's part of the routine, you know. And it's like you'll have those shitty downswings, but you're still being consistent with the ego check, and then when you come back up, you just keep going you keep riding the wave.
Yeah, I've been missing that. That's really something I should be doing. But I'm getting back. I'm getting back. Like once I came back from Iqaluit, I just like laid low and just like reflect, and it just put me in not a depressive mode, but like not feeling like top self. And I think like that ritual you're saying is something you need. Be active, start getting active, and start pushing towards like a ritual, something that keep you going. Even music, I haven't been going to my jams. I haven't been going like to any of it. I haven't been playing music at all, and that's not me. So when something happens to me, I know my reset button is music. Okay, that's mine. I smoke some weed and I play guitar for 5-6 hours, and I'm good. You know, that's my reset button, and I haven't even been doing that. So I mean, ritual is really important. It's not for nothing that you're saying it today. Yeah, for me, anyways.
Nice. Man, the universe aligned you. You came
no,
here.
Man, the universe is always talking, man. It's weird how it's always talking.
You have
shut
to
up.
listen.
It doesn't shut up. We're having conversations sometimes, and oh yeah, you're right, and some car passes by and beep beep and just honks, and just universe is talking, man. It's just responding. It's confirming.
Signs on signs, man.
Signs on signs, man.
It's always talking. It just requires us to put our ear to it.
Yeah.
You know, and then you'll pick up on the message that was there, probably yelling you the whole time. And you're just like, oh, now I'm listening.
Yeah.
You know,
I reread that. Too busy talking. That's a bad thing to say for podcasters, but in the metaphor that we're creating all the time and we're not absorbing. And it's like, I don't know. There's some fucking Dalai Lama quote or some shit where he says like, if you're talking, you're not learning because you're just repeating what you know. And I was like, fuck. Whoa, talking's my whole life.
So you're saying our audience is learning. We're not learning
shit. Oh, we get a lot out of this. I gotta be honest.
Hell yeah, man. It's a journey and a half.
Hopefully. I reread The Alchemist. I read it when I was
it's a solid book, man.
Teenage, and I reread it before leaving over there. I read it straight up in 4 hours. Nice. Not a pause, and I was just hooked. The language of the world, you got to listen to. You have to take the time to listen to what is the message. What are you here for? What is your purpose, basically? And it was a powerful book.
I think I should reread that book once a year.
At least
that book is
just it puts you back up where you're and your train of thoughts.
That book is just a forever burning ember. You know, it's just you can just add it into your arsenal at any time.
The first time I read it, I was like, "What's the hubbub?" It kind of like story wise, there was something kind of like predictable and cheese about it, and I was just overanalyzing it. But what was cool, I mean, like my like a friend of a friend, she's like a really cool like acquaintance, like friend of a friend. Long story. So she's reading the book, and I was like, oh, I heard of this recently. So like signs on signs again, and she goes, you know what, have it. And she just like she had her name in the corner, and then so I wrote my name. And I said, I'll take this from you, but when I'm done, I'm going to give it to someone. Yeah, so I don't even know where it is now, but I just like I handed it to somebody else, and I'm like, you write your name there, and then you give it to someone when you're done.
Fuck,
so
I
just
love
kind
that.
of, it was fun. It was like a cool little game.
And
of
it's
life
exactly
thing.
the book for it. Like
that too, exactly.
You would give that book to someone else, and it's just like
fuck. We should start that on the podcast. Do
like
the Alchemist giveaway, and then every listener who gets
forward.
Pays it forward, and maybe it'll come back to us in like 5 years.
Our
like
own book.
1,000 names.
Fuck. Yeah, it's like send it in. There's just like a PO box or something on the back. Yeah,
I like
cool,
that
actually. Anyway, so the book, I want to reread it as well. I'm gonna jump on this bandwagon because there's a lot of little stuff in there. And when I remember, like, the way the alchemist interacted with the boy, and the stuff that he taught him just by being himself, but then the stuff he taught him directly but at the right time, and like little shit like that, and the fact that the kid had to do the thing. I don't want to ruin it if no one's read it, but like, he just had to go full circle. He had to do the journey. There was no way he would learn that otherwise.
Yeah,
tough love.
Yeah,
very tough love.
And it's a
wisdom,
little
man.
beyond words. Yeah,
it's wisdom.
It's so applicable, but it's this weird fantasy reality, this other world. The book is like a little bit mesmerizing, and it's short enough that you can pound it out in a fucking few hours, you know. So read it. You can read it a couple times. You can flip through. I'm sure there's YouTube videos, people analyzing the shit out of this book, but the truth is, it's pretty straightforward.
That's it. It's a universe. How does a universe communicate with everybody?
Yeah.
And dude, it's just, I don't know. It's just one of my best books I've read. Like,
I read it early on too, and that one, I remember that was like in my beginning stages of this path of self-discovery, and The Alchemist came into my hands. I think I was recommended probably on Rogan podcast or something, or on like some message board I was part of, and I'm like, I read this, I'm like, fuck, you know.
It's one of those books, right? Like, you just, if you haven't read it, you've heard the word. You've heard, oh yeah, that's some Pablo something. I don't know, like, you kind of, you even know the author maybe.
Cool.
But you know what I liked about it? It gives like this kind of hyper fantasy. Well, it's not like Lord of the Rings crazy, but it's like, it's a really nice frame for a really nice message. And I mean, like, when people hear, you know, the universe is talking to you or something, it can be interpreted in like a little over the edge for some people who are more skeptical.
Yeah,
I'm very skeptical, so I got good at kind of explaining it in different ways. And I think that's why I liked yoga, because it brings things to like a kind of, it brings the spiritual, it connects it to the material. And I mean, you could reframe it and say, like, you're only living your life through your brain, you know, and you can choose through perspective, like kind of like the environments, like the fish that we were talking about earlier. That's your environment, that's your mental landscape, and then everything you see gets filtered through that. So, you know, like you were saying before, you tap into that negative energy, you start seeing that everywhere, you start letting that in, it starts becoming your reality. Those are the signs, in a sense, whether you realize it consciously or not. Now we're talking about another level, maybe, where we're conscious about it and we're looking for signs. But the truth is, you can only look for what you are. You can only look for what you're going through. So if you're a musician, if you're a doctor, if you're a podcaster, I don't fucking know, you will see the world in that way. You have like a stencil in front of you. Like, instead of a wall, it's a stencil now. So it lets the light in a certain way, and you start seeing signs. The truth is, like we said before, the universe does not shut up. It is literally everything happening all the time, all at once. If you tap into that, that's some Om shit. That's a lot. That's a download. That's like shrooms or something. That's too much. But you get something out of it, maybe. I don't know. But it's like, we're limited to our perspectives. We get to see things, and we're just pattern recognizing machines. That's why there's astrology. That's why there's the I Ching. That's why there's all of science. That's literally just what we do. It's why we're the fucking apex. I wouldn't say predator, but like, we're the boss. We're the leader of the planet.
Yeah,
I think I think if you and it's proven that if you think, you attract. That it's the law of attraction, right? I strongly believe in that, and I've heard scientists talk about the law of attraction is real. At one point, I think it was you or someone else told me about a video on YouTube about this lady who won 500 contests with the power of her mind, and I was like, oh, come on. So I watched it, listened to it, and then I thought, like, why not apply it to my life? I thought of the randomest thing I could think, and it was a piece of orange. Someone's going to give me an orange tomorrow at work, and I just shut my eyes. I went to sleep after watching the video, right? And one of my friends came over and said, hey, dude, you want some oranges? And I was like, what? And I try to explain to him, like, dude, this video, I saw this video yesterday, and it's amazing. At this, yeah. You're crazy. You
want this fucking orange or not, bro?
Exactly. But dude, the week after, my mom a bag of oranges. my grandmother with a box of oranges from all over the place was coming in. The universe was just, you want some oranges? Here you go, bro.
I love how you're wearing an orange hat as you
Yes.
tell this story. It's just a little extra sprinkle on top of the story.
It's so funny, man.
It's fun to think because I'm trying to bring it down to this like material level and say like, oh, you know, like your subconscious is powerful and you're tuning into like your actions, your behavior. You're gonna manifest what you want in a kind of material sense. But then you come in with these stories and it's like, no, material, like it's still material. It's just like a science. It's a magic. It's something we just don't understand yet. But you're connected, and we're all connected in a way that we don't fully understand. And when you start playing with that and you start seeing it and it starts becoming applicable, it doesn't fucking matter who tells you what. You're like, no, that's not science. That's not real, blah, blah, blah. You're like, look, bro, I get why you're saying that, but this is like scientism. Like you're turning it into a religion. The truth is, I tried something. I did an actual scientific method.
For me.
Yeah, and I don't fucking know why it worked. It's correlative at this point. Sorry if you're going to be a stickler about the fucking science, but it works. And that lady's fascinating because she's just, in a way, I don't want to insult her, but in a way it's like she's like ignorant or naive enough to just be like, well, I saw this video or I read this book and apparently I can have whatever I want just by thinking about it. So she's not overcomplicating it like I would. And she's just going, I guess it works. And then she starts fucking winning the lottery left and right. And then she has like a coven now. Yeah. She has like a bunch of people and they're all like, yep, we're going to win. We're going to win. Dude, when people walk in, like when she walks into some contest, like everyone thinks they're going to lose now because she's the winner.
And
she
they're
comes in
actually
and
giving their thoughts to the universe.
Yeah.
Oh, she's going to win. And then
she
she
They've
wins.
already lost.
I think that's the way you told it to me, actually.
Yeah.
I think I had showed you like a small video on YouTube, but then you looked into it, and then you come back with this orange story and stuff, and it's like, the orange thing it sounds small when people think of manifestation, but like the truth is that was your experiment. That was your level of belief at the time.
That was my trigger to understand what I needed to do to manifest it, and I've done it to manipulate people. I tried it to that level. And it backfired against me because it wasn't for the right reasons. I got sick and I almost died. And I strongly believe is because I was meditating like strongly to like, I wanted this person to talk to me and we were not talking and I wanted this person to talk to me. And I meditated and it backfired against me. My heart just, I had a myopericarditis where your heart muscle grows and
it's inflamed.
Yeah. And when I went into the spiritual side of it, of what is the heart and the body, the heart is the center of everything. So you have to be aligned. When something's disaligned, your heart is going to suffer. So, so it took me that to understand that no, you can't use that. It's like you're going to the dark side. You don't want to do that.
Something wasn't aligned right.
Yeah,
so like
you're not supposed to do that.
You know, I think it was on Duncan Trussell or something like DTF8, like another podcast. But he I don't remember the guy's name right now, but he was like a manifestation expert, which is like interesting to listen to when you start delving into a little and believing it. And this guy talks about it like a science. And I won't get into everything, but he was saying like, be very careful and just maybe avoid it altogether if you're manifesting towards other people, because they have the free will, consciously or not, to reject it, and then it flies back to you.
That's crazy. It sounds like what could have happened.
Yeah.
It's like there's like a physics to it. There's like a kind of spiritual, like it's not like gravity and drop your phone kind of physics, but it's like there's a logic or there's something happening there where it's like your intention, if it's working in the world of intention, if that's going to affect the outside world, then it becomes part of the collective intention. So then this person has it's the same plane, it's the same game, and they're, like I said, consciously or not, they're just, one day they just go, I don't want to talk to him. I never wanted to talk to him for whatever reason. And you're blasting them with this beam and they just go pink.
And then it backfires.
Yeah.
It comes back to you.
And then, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it got you sick. I don't know. Honestly, I could speculate forever. I love this kind of stuff. Maybe it's the way you interpret it.
Yeah, I had weird dreams after. I think the universe talks to us through dreams as well. And I had weird dreams telling me, explaining me, don't do that. Yeah. Like, so I just took... I realized after, yes, it And I felt that it was not correct. I wasn't meditating for myself, for my well-being, or for my growth as a human being. And like you say, collectively, the oranges, I just sent it out into the universe. I didn't say this person's going to. I sent it out and I received.
It's almost like you're operating on a want basis and not what you actually need.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And then when you operate in the want basis, that's now we're going back to ego. And then that's like, you can't, that's going to come back 10 times worse.
Yeah.
You know? It's always
Maybe
like
it's
that.
not necessarily bad, but again, I'd love to remember this guy's name, but he was saying like a lot of people when they start getting into this, they're like, I want a big house, I want to be rich, and they're like, do you? That was his, he just like, do you really? Why do you want to be rich? And then you start like 2 or 3 questions at 2 or 3 why levels in, you're like, oh, I don't want to be rich. I want my parents to lay off my back. I want financial security, or I want to be like free to choose my career. Like there's this real intention underneath that has nothing to do with being a billionaire.
That's why it's important to unpack wants,
Yeah.
I was talking to my girlfriend.
It's not necessarily bad, want. It's just
but you need to unpack it, because if you're operating on the want, there might be all this shit that's not being fulfilled.
Yeah.
And then you get what you wanted, and it's not what you want.
It's not what you want, yeah. It's not what you needed.
Yeah. So I was talking to my girlfriend, and I said girlfriend, first time on the podcast.
You said it. You said the GF word, bro.
It's official now. She's going to hear this. It's already been official
really
for a while.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Mazel tov.
She's probably going to laugh when she hears this. Okay, but I was talking to her about this. I'm like, I really want to go to the next ayahuasca ceremony. I told her that. I'm like, I want to go. But like, I unpacked the want. I'm like, I don't need to go. I shouldn't. I'm not going, but I want to solely just to be in the environment. But that's not an intention, so I'm not gonna go. But like, it's like that. If I actually went based off of just the wanting mechanism, it'd probably have a terrible experience. It's like a slap. Like, listen, you're not. There's no reason for you to be here. You're just abusing the substance. So
I kind of disagree and agree at the same time, and I'll tell you why. I said, if you want to go, and then you unpack it and start overanalyzing it, and then you go, and it just said, like, I'm going to have a terrible experience. But I think in that terrible experience, there's learning. Because there's no bad.
You're preaching to the choir, man.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's no bad. Even in my bad experience that I had last time that I went, I realized why I went. It was to go and say bye to the people that I loved and who gave me love. That's my reason why I went back there. And that's one thing. If you go to ayahuasca, and even if you don't or want or whatnot, and then you realize, no, I've been there for a reason. Maybe I was thinking while you were saying that is to help someone else there, because I know that you helped him.
Yeah.
So that might be the reason why. So
maybe I need to unpack it a little bit further, that urge, because now I'm seeing it as like the inclination to want something. When you unpack it, you might find something that was actually that's something that actually needed some work on, and it manifested in this state of want.
That's a really nice way of putting it too, because maybe you don't go. I mean, I guess you won't go this time, and then only once, like the Alchemist, only once that date passes, then you'll go, oh, okay, I really didn't want to go, or oh, I should have gone. Like whatever little, it doesn't have to be regret. You pepper in some fucking forgiveness, and suddenly you can observe it, accountability mirror, like we said before, and you'll get something out of it either way.
Yeah.
Instead of being thrown by it or ignoring it, or just thinking like without unpacking the want. I mean, I guess you could unpack forever, but there's a level of honesty. I do this intellectualization, like what it could be. But lately in my life, I'm like, what am I feeling? What am I actually going through? It's more practical. It's less, and this really bothers me, but it's less explainable. Because I feel a lot like I'm not allowed to feel it or to think that it's correct unless I can defend it, which is just like my upbringing, I guess.
It's crazy you say that, because I was going to say it's a gut feeling that you want and you want and you want. It's a gut feeling. I would say go.
There's like,
or don't go if that's the gut. Like maybe
exactly.
It's just habit. I guess I don't know.
That's
we
it.
could speculate.
So that's why I'm maybe unpacking is not the right way to go about it. It's just to feel it, see how it, as the date approaches, how I'm actually really feeling.
Even if you go because you wanted to, and it's not a bad experience, there's something you're going to learn from it.
Always, yeah.
You're going to listen. You're going to have a notch more about how you listen to your gut. You're going to understand that a little bit more, right? So, and I'm trying to go with with that more and more in life. Yeah,
me too, man. And this past year has been really starting to listen to the gut more and more, and like that's where I'm getting rewarded from the universe. Like you were saying, it's like I'm starting to feel things and operate off that feeling more and more, and I'm noticing there's a reward that's involved in that. And it's like, instead of just going with this blind mindset, just get everything I need.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, now it's like, oh no, this feels like something's pulling me in this direction. I'm gonna head there. You know, and it's been a very interesting year. Reprogramming my mind into that pathway. It's cool.
It's almost like we're afraid of emotions, like just in general.
Vulnerability, right?
Yeah, but like even if you don't talk about, it's like, instead of just looking at it as information, like it's like you're talking to your, like something. It's just literally information. Like something is telling you something within, something without. Whatever we can talk about. We can speculate how the universe works, but you're getting a download, like the way, like it's psychedelic a little bit. You're getting information kind of out of the ether, or internally in some deep well, like something just sprouts out, and you're like, oh, why am I angry right now? And maybe, like, you know, unpack a little. Like I said before, like, don't unpack in this theoretical space, but actually feel. A lot of people don't even know how to do that. When I ask them, like, there's a few people in my life, I'm realizing now, it's like, you're thinking about the answer. I'm just asking you how you're feeling, which means you should stop thinking and observe, because the information is right there. But there's this instinct to be like, oh, maybe I'm thinking this, maybe I'm feeling this. And it's like, dude, why are you maybeing? Like,
feel it.
It's right. It's happening. It's right. Just feel it. Just dipstick yourself.
I think that's society, man. Society tells you don't restrict your emotions. We don't want to know about your emotions. That's the society in which we live, unfortunately. Anger is a good example. I mean, it's a bad emotion, but it's an emotion, and it's part of the human, and you have to live it. And
it's the one we suppress the most.
It's the one we suppress the most. We don't want to know about it. It makes us look ugly, but it's a part of. You need that emotion to go forward and understanding it. Like, it's
like a deep human expression. Like, we just need it,
or else it wouldn't be there.
It's like the intellectualization that it needs to be repressed turns us into victims of our own emotions, which is, I guess, is the vulnerability. Like, why it leads to fear, or I guess, I don't know if you believe in Star Wars. The fear leads to anger, which leads to hate, which makes sense. Yoda
was
had
watching
it right.
Star Wars yesterday, bro.
Dude, Mandalorian's so good.
Yes,
I hate that I like it.
Yes.
Anyway,
is that the one with the baby Yoda?
Yeah.
Baby Yoda. That's
Dude,
that's how they got my girlfriend, with the baby Yoda and the eyes.
I honestly forgot about that, and then I started watching it, and I was like, "This is better than the movies. This is more Star Wars than the Star Wars movies."
It's fun.
Plus, it's like samurai, like this Ronin, like this wandering, no master, but like believes in something kind of thing.
Yeah. This is the way.
Yeah, exactly. This is the way. Yeah, it's fucking terrifying. There's a religiosity to the.
You're gonna get him hooked.
Yeah,
you're gonna watch it. Yeah.
The music is like retro mixed with new stuff, and the transitions are all the old Star Wars looking movie stuff. Oh, yeah. But it's like a cowboy movie at the same time, and it's a show. And Yoda, baby Yoda.
Yeah, baby
Yoda.
It's a
Netflix show. It's on Netflix.
It's on Disney Plus. So like,
Disney
but you know what though? There's like 8 episodes out now. Like, it's probably done soon. You can get like a 30-day trial with Disney Plus.
Binge
you don't
it
have to pay. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
just 30
and
days.
they're half-an-hour episodes, so it goes by
quick.
Are they?
Yeah.
Huh. That was
They're
longer.
not. No.
You just meshed it into one long experience.
Maybe
4 hours of
4 hours I can do.
Yeah.
One shot, boom.
I love how we just switched.
Yeah, I saw
talking
that.
so deeply, and we're like, bro, Mandalorian's so good. What the fuck were we talking about? Yeah, anger being a intellectualization, and then we victimize ourselves into suppressing it. And I don't know, I guess I was
just
done
be
with that
human.
point.
Just being human is part of that. It's understanding your emotions, being angry,
acting on
being
it,
sad, being.
That's the victimization. That's something that with Rape also, I really learned this. How you feel does not dictate how you act. How you act actually dictates how you think, which bleeds into how you feel.
Yes.
The truth is you control how you act. And when we think we don't, then we don't. And then we act like douchebags, and then we feel like shit because we think we are shit. It's just this fucking vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And it's not really a vicious cycle because there's this little click of choice every time. Click, click, click. But we maybe choose to ignore it, and ignore is a good word because it's ignorance.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bless you.
I just end that profound statement on a burp note.
I just find emotion to be an important part of being a musician. If you're gonna write songs, you have to be in tune with your emotions and what are you feeling. And that's why I smoke weed and write music, because your emotions are amplified when you smoke weed. They're amplified, and you're like, what am I feeling? Oh, I have these feelings. I have to write this down. And then I start getting into this creative process where I start writing down my emotions. And I think I've done good songs, Sammy.
I love your songs, dude. And I love how you birthed them slowly. Like you've practiced. Like when we met, you were learning to play guitar, and now you're way better than me. You know theory more. You can solo. You can jam with people. But then you also just went up north on this like we said, like your own trip, your own retreat, and you came back with like a few songs every time, and they're good. They're heartfelt. They're about your experiences, but maybe not directly. Sometimes directly, like you have a song about being a cab driver.
Yeah.
Just
the
like
blind cab driver.
Yeah, the blind cab driver. That's like you're alone, right? So you have
you're
all
alone,
this time
man.
to hear
That's
these
the
things.
thing, being alone in the world. And I've met my friends over there. They're alone as well, and I've met them over there. And I have this Cuban friend. He's over there, and we had to smoke some weed one night, and he doesn't smoke weed at all. And I sat him down and I started talking to him. I said, dude, I feel, and dude, when I was telling him that, my body was just vibrating. I could feel I could feel shivers. When you have shivers in your body, it's the universe. You're in tune.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You're
it's
in
talking
tune.
To you directly.
It's talking to you. And I was having this deep conversation with him. It says, dude, I feel your pain, man. He came from Cuba to Montreal. His thing didn't work out, whatever he was doing, and he left Inuit to find more work. And I said, dude, you're alone here. I'm alone here, but I have my girlfriend in Montreal. I understand. I know a couple of people, but when you're alone in the world, dude, that's the best thing you can do for yourself. You grow so much, and you become you could decide to be a better or worse human being, but in his case, he was becoming a better human being. And
that can go both ways, right? It's if when you're alone in there, if you can allow that lesson to come in, then that's the growth. But if you create more walls, more fear, and stay in this little box and bubble,
big choice. Yeah.
Big choice. But I think do you have a good heart or not? It comes down to that. And he had a good heart. Cubans are amazing as people. They're very humble. They have nothing when they're in Cuba, and they understand that, and they're very humble, and they're very proud people. And he had a good heart. He would make food. He would give food to everybody. And just that, when I would sit down and he would make food for everyone, I would see, okay, he's a good person.
That's the light. He has it.
He's giving instead of taking advantage and, oh, what can you give me? He's like, here, take. And I would help him. Like I would teach him the ways of the cab driver, basically. Like I would teach him like the tricks and whatnot and what to do. And
nice.
Yeah, I would repay him that way. And it's just a trade of things.
I want to be more like that, man.
You know what it is? It's love loves to love, man.
Love is love. The
like
power
that.
of love, man.
Love loves to love.
It literally does, man.
The power of love. It's
and you bump into someone like that, and there's that connection where you guys can just mirror it off each other, and just it harvests and manifests and grows. You know.
I swear, man. I've said it a million times, but it's like we're all living on different planets, and like we meet each other, and we're like vibing the same way, and it's like our planets are crossing, and there's just people living on an entirely different fucking world. That's just full of love and light and luck and magic, and there's other people who are like fucked, and it's like it's not as simple as like, oh, I think I'm fucked, so I'm fucked. Like there's some people like just in the ruts, man. I've had some ups and downs, but my fucking life is cushy.
But you see it automatically. You feel people who are well with themselves or who are trying to do good with
even
others.
in the rut.
Even in the rut,
yeah.
you feel it right away. You get along with them. Like when I was over there, I met all sorts of people, but the people around me, who were like close, who calls me friends today, are the people who, wow, man, I I admire them. Like, I had suppers with them, and it was just a beautiful conversation. I met beautiful people, and I say beautiful people because they were just amazing. Like, a positivity and I was the silent one. I was the one, like, not too sure, because I come from this different world where, again, we walk around with our walls, and I had my walls on, and I shouldn't have. I spoke a little bit and I shared a little bit, but dude, that was an amazing. So I met a beautiful person. She's an author, and I saw her yesterday because I bought the book from her.
Oh, the musician there. Wasn't she like singing something also and playing that instrument?
Yes, she had she's from Zimbabwe, and she has this like circular wooden thing where there's metal pins. Okay. And ding, 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 and she does this music. Anyways, it was, and at that moment, we all sat down and at that supper, and we listened to her, and it was just I could feel the energy that I didn't even understand what she was saying. She was singing in her language, but I could feel the energy, and I told her that song is a sad song, and she said yes, and she said, how do you know? It's the energy you're putting out. I could feel it. I was vibing to it, and it was amazing. That was one of the best moments in my life. Wow. Yeah.
It's crazy how it parallels with my ceremony experience.
I was going to say,
yeah?
I was going to say very similar to that.
Like I feel like I've been gaining positivity and becoming a certain person in my environment. Then I go into this environment, and these people are like, they're like unicorn wizards compared to me. And I'm just like, all the lessons, all the games start coming in, and I'm like, oh, like I'm forgiving myself, but I'm catching myself being hard on myself. Like all these little things start happening, and eventually you're just in it. You're just kind of basking, but you're like a different you. You know, like people listening won't appreciate it as much, but like you're like a, not in an annoying way, but you're like a loud guy. You know, like you have a wide. It's not constant, but you're not shy, you know? So to hear you say that you're the quiet guy in Nunavut, you know, it's like I can see that more, because as you come back, you're like a little more peaceful every time, a little quieter every time. Whatever you got out of it, if you feel like you don't have to go back, like I don't want to get into that, but I definitely see the same thing with ayahuasca. It's maybe a little faster or a little more intense or
everything
little more
connects, bro. Like this experience and yours is the same way, in a same sense. The way you explained to me, it's these people are so positive. They're beautiful people, and I had the same thing, but in a different way, and it all connects. It's all the same thing.
It's the same message.
Yeah,
you know, it's just transferred and taught differently. You know,
exactly.
You know, that's what I got even at Vipassana. I'm like, this is ayahuasca. Like people were asking me after Vipassana was over, when they lifted the silence, they're like, what's ayahuasca like? Because I was telling them before it started. And I'm like, it's this.
It's just like, hold on to that question for 10 days.
Yeah, and I was just like, but it's this. There's no difference. You can get that experience of ayahuasca or any psychedelic experience by being a cab driver, meeting these people, going to their dinners, listening to their songs. Yeah. That's what we're all talking about. It just transferred differently.
But you have to be listening.
Yeah,
that's the
it
thing.
just takes the observer.
You have to open your ears and listen to what is the message. Why am I in this room? Why are these people here? What are these people teaching me? Yeah. What am I learning about myself?
And that's why it's like sometimes ayahuasca or psychedelic experiences open those lenses.
Yeah,
and open the ears, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you know? I think there's a lot of things that I'm getting so much more out of now, because I had this kind of like gentle piercing of the ears, you know, like. You know.
I think with emotional intelligence, and it's my opinion, people don't have to agree with it, but if you do these psychedelics, your brain is just gonna explode into like higher emotional intelligence. I've done it when I was a kid, mushrooms, just because it's a trip, you know, and LSD as well, but redoing it today, I would be curious to know like what ayahuasca, like I said, is something that interests me. Just if it's an introspective kind of tool, I'm down.
Oh man,
it's not like shrooms. I like comparing the two, because shrooms is like you know what I always say? Shrooms is like the universe is like crammed into your brain, like you're getting this thick download. ayahuasca stays on earth. Ayahuasca is about ancestry. It's about your past. It's about the present. There's something more practical about it. It walks you through yourself a little more gently. Bless you. That was the quietest sneeze I've ever heard you do, man.
Seriously. I'm going to blow their ears off.
Yeah, you usually shake my chest.
That's a perfect way to put it. You know, mushrooms is just like everything's communicating to you.
It's like you're through the ringer. Like
if you're in front of a tree, you're just all of a sudden downloading the tree's information. But ayahuasca is like so deeply embedded into the psychology in your body and your mind and your history, your ancestry, like you were saying. And it's in a weird way, it uses you as examples for the lessons you're learning. So at least in my experience, I don't know.
It just feels very personal, very practical, and it's this slow burn, so it feels like a proper trip. You know, like if you took some quick, like some drug that comes and goes or something, you don't have the time. Like, you know, iboga, it lasts like 24 hours. It's like, you know, you're
up to 72.
Ugh. Like you're a 10-day retreat. You know, you're gonna go through the same beats, but they're just spread out. You're going to have these moments of doubt. They're going to feel like they last longer, but you just have these acute moments in an ayahuasca trip or something. And the ceremony, the surrounding also, you know, like you're in Iqaluit and you're far away from home. You have a different surrounding. It's colder, maybe. All these little things factor in. The job, you're going through the same beats of like the circle. There's this fear. There's that, like the cycle I was talking about earlier. You have these clicks of choice. And man, when they're long, and you're in like the shitty parts, you can't wait for that choice to come back around. You're just holding your breath. And then when it comes, you fucking jump on it like an asshole. Like it's the last chopper out of fucking Nam. Like you're like desperate. Whereas sometimes a drug, it could be like the first times I took shrooms, I was like a kid in high school partying. And I got bombed. You know, I got the rug pulled out from under me, and I like, what does integration look like at that time? You know, like it's like it's all upside down. Yeah,
it doesn't make sense it does when you're a kid, but you don't have the same perspective of what you have.
It's
now.
like you were saying, you don't have the ear, or you weren't listening at the moment.
Yeah,
and I described, because my friend told me like, oh, why, like you do these kind of ceremonies like this, but like my friends, they do mushrooms and they play video games and chill. And I'm like, you can all go to class.
Sounds great.
Yeah, like it's a good experience, but you can all go to class, and like just because we're all in the same class doesn't mean you're really listening to what the teacher's showing you. You can just be doing your own thing in class and fucking around. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just like there's so many things to listen and follow, but like what the experience is to you is like, if you want to pay attention and like, why am I doing this? Okay, I'm doing introspection, or if I'm just with my buddies fucking around, that's cool too. But it's really that class perspective.
I guess that's why spirituality is like innately secular, because it's about being human. And it's like, you know, you're saying like you were not ready to listen, but the body listens. Ever since you're born, the body's listening, and every body is different. That's why it's so addictive when we talk, and it feels like it's like, oh, I know what you're saying. I had the same experience in a different way, but there's this connection. You even brought it up, like your first question when he's talking about the alcoholism. Like you asked, like, is there a lack of community? You know, it's like there's this need to connect, but in the same time, there's this fear of being similar, of needing to be similar, and then you lose some of that. And that's why religion can be a little squirrely, because it's boxed in. Whereas a lot of people in all walks of life can tap into a certain honesty, a certain spirituality, whether they're Christian or Muslim or they're Jewish or they don't believe in anything. You could be a good person and have no fucking idea what we're talking about here. Yeah. But you're just woke. I hate to use that word, but like the guy who's feeding people, there's just some fucking sense in his heart. Yeah.
And it all comes back to like, if you're leading that life, whether religion you're in or whatever, it's all the same principles. It's like being kind to others. It's like such a reoccurring thing. Yeah. You know, in that woke state, I guess you want to call it.
The thing about human beings is that once they think they're doing a good thing, they think they're above other human beings, which I believe religion does that to people, but spirituality does this circle and click in the choice.
So that's the insidious part of the ego coming back in.
The ego. It's very connected to the ego. Religion, exactly, that's a good point. I never saw it like that, but ego is very much connected to religion. Yeah. Where spirituality is let go of your ego. absorb the energy and of others and what is going on around you, and let go of the ego and understand your soul, what purpose does it have.
And it's funny you say that, because ego is so embedded and tied into religion that, like, I'm Jewish, and like there's a holiday, it's called Yom Kippur, and me and my buddies, my buddy Simon, we laugh about this. We have a bit going on, and it's like confirmed every year. So Yom Kippur is like, at the surface, it's such a beautifully put holiday. It's like you fast for 27 hours, no food, no water. And the whole idea is about repenting of your sins, forgiving everyone. Like, literally, it's like that day is like you release yourself from all traumas and stuff. And if you cause harm to someone, you apologize. And it's a whole fucking forgiveness thing. And then to finish it, you're at synagogue and you wait for the shofar. It's like a deer's horn or something, and they blow it. And then when that's blown, cool. the holiday's over. You can go eat and do your thing. It's exactly like that. It was perfectly put.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but it's like the rabbi holds it for like 45 seconds to like a minute.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty intense. And I think he's fasting too. So
he's a little dizzy and he's doing some circular breathing.
So like the whole holiday, you would think it's such a beautiful thing that everyone would be hugging each other after. But as soon as that shofar blows, everyone's butting and pushing each other out. Get out of my way! I gotta get the fuck out of here. I want to go home. And then there's traffic. They're honking at each other. And me and my friend laugh because we were talking about this, and we were talking right after the shofar. And this old man like came. He's like, "You're causing traffic," and he like pushed us out of the way. And in my head, I'm like, "This was all about repentance, and now we're right back in the cycle, all over again."
Now that you're saying
That's
that,
so
I want to come back to what I was saying and say religion is not about ego. Humans make it about ego, but religion is about love.
With the ego.
Yeah.
If you listen to the Bible, Quran, Jewish
in
book,
its purity,
I don't know what it's called, but
Torah,
you understand that it's about love.
Yes,
Jesus had a message. I'm
beautiful
Catholic. It was beautiful, and he came in like a unicorn, like you were saying. He came in a barbaric world, and he came in like, nah, man.
Yeah,
just love your bro. He's like, love him.
Form.
He's like, simple, so simple that people didn't understand him and said like, fuck this guy, let's kill him.
That's the problem, is misinterpretation.
That's what happened.
And fucking with my bottom line, Jesus.
Yeah.
And then this hierarchy of like, okay, he's the head rabbi or the head priest. We follow his word, and then there's subcategories, and then there's other high ups that we follow.
Oh, wow.
And we're just creating this fucking pyramid of just like a hierarchy that should have never been there.
You just made me realize something. Like, there's ego in victimization, because it's like an identity thing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna give an appeal to authority. It's like that disc we were talking, like the choice circle or whatever you want to call it. It's like you can split it almost, and then there's like these realms where it's fueled by fear, or it's just it could be in a lot of religious areas, not all of them, of course, but it obviously is from what we've seen in history, and even now. But like, there's this. The whole realm, the whole field, the whole game you're playing is tainted. So you're like, you'll make the wrong choice every time, let's say. And victimization, like it's an ego game on both sides. I mean, I've met a lot of, let's call them like religious leaders, or like, like a priest, a rabbi, something. They're usually incredible people. Maybe they're just good at putting a face on. I don't know. I'm not like amazing at reading people, but sometimes like
what does their energy say?
They're just human. I love the like the same, just that kind of like, bro, I got a robe on. I'm talking to everybody, but like, you could fucking do this.
Yeah.
I'm just someone's just talking through me, kind of thing.
And
they teach that a lot in yoga. Yeah. Yeah, a good humility. Because it's a time when you need humility, because that trap is so prevalent. It's like, oh yeah, I could feel like I'm better. It'll make you guys feel like you're worse, and we're gonna play this stupid ego.
I had that experience with priests. I had that experience, and that's why. And actually, my cousin, he's a pastor in the States, and I'm not talking bad about him. He does what he needs to do, and he has his views on religion, and I respect that. He has a right. But to my experience, the priests that I met was like, yes, I'm better than you. And I don't know how he operates, but I hope I remember him as a loving person, my cousin. So I think that he could be not in an ego way, but that's the thing. Ego is religion
it's
comes
insidious,
back
bro.
to
It
ego.
sneaks
That's
in. And they talk about it at ceremony. The spiritual ego is the hardest one to fucking break. If you form a spiritual ego, I've done all this work. I'm up here now. I'm at a level of consciousness where you guys aren't, so listen to me. That spiritual ego is a fucking insidious one. Because that gets embedded.
Yeah. That's so the opposite.
But it's hidden itself and woven itself in those realms. And then all of a sudden, you're like this... You're supposed to preach love, but you're preaching love from this authoritarian perspective.
Yeah, this superiority that's usually born from a feeling of inferiority. It's usually a defense mechanism. Like Paul Selig, fucking love that guy. Like I'm reading his book again there, the I Am the Word thing, and him or his guides, whatever you want to talk about. Like he talks about how people put God on a pedestal, and it's like we're down here in the mud, and the next line is no, God is the mud. And even in that beautiful, liberating statement, that new perspective, you can step back and go, oh, I get that now. I'm smarter. I'm better.
The people who are religion will tell you, no, God is up here. And I say the same thing you're saying. God is... I say this to people and they look at me like, dude, you're crazy. I say, no, God is in everybody. You're God. I'm God. He's God. This table is God. Everything is God around us, and it's living through us. And people look at me, you're crazy, because they grow up to believe, no, God is on that pedestal.
There's a bearded guy in the sky. And then the ego trap is so powerful. That's why the ego trap is so powerful in religion. Because you guys are playing this ego game with each other, but you think it's about this guy. You're both victimizing to this lord, this archon, this fucking master, and like not the fun kind of master. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
he punishes
like the
you.
boss. Yeah, exactly. So that's shit. I like that.
Boom. That's the thing. I think God in the Bible looks a lot like he's human. He made decisions where he punished you and blah 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 for us to fear him and whatnot. When we shouldn't be thinking about fear. We should it's about love. I've read books about people who passed away, a doctor who did research on people who had near-death experiences. And he says, once I passed through that realm of death, I feel only love. The emotion that my soul feels is love. And then I see whatever happens, and then he comes back to the body, and then he goes. That's another story there, but it's love. So then I relate one with the other. And we shouldn't be thinking about God as punishing, as you shouldn't be doing this, that. It's
like a little G God. They talk about it as a joke. There's like a big prevailing energy. I've even heard people relate love as like some universal force and say that's gravity. Like, again, to go back in this kind of science mind, it's like there's this field. It's not like a gravitons like we used to think. It's this ever prevailing dimension, this like material, this fascia in the whole fucking universe. And just being there, being a material thing, you are affecting it and you are affected by it. And it brings everything together. It literally just slowly, everything just crashes into each other and smushes into each other. It's kind of like a love story, like a hero's journey, because we were all one. We were this tiny, simple, infinite energy thing, and we just separated. And we're just sad, and we're just trying to get back in these pockets. Ooh. And it's like this. It's like this. It's alive now. It's like this channel. Because of separation, we came back, and now it's like this brain. It's like this canal, this thing where energy can flow, and we can experience each other, and all this crazy stuff. And there's this in the back thing that you kind of lick when you're meditating, which is like, oh, we are all one for real. Like for real, physically, mentally, spiritual, whatever the fuck you want it. Like actually all one. That's fucking.
You can connect with anybody. I believe strongly. Yeah. Strongly, I've done the test. I've talked to people which.
Dude, in Thailand, I barely spoke the same languages. We barely had communication, but we were all getting along. Whoever I hung out with. You know, at the time I was seeing this like local Thai girl, and she brought me to like these bars where like, they barely spoke English, but we were all drinking and smoking weed together. And
I thought you just said local tiger.
Yeah, I heard that too. Then I went, no, Thailand girl.
Okay, yeah, continue. Sorry.
Local tiger, that'd be fucked up. I wouldn't be here to tell the story. No, but we went to a bar, and like You know, like, hey, how's it going? That's it. And we're just drinking, smoking, and they're talking in Thai. I'm laughing just because I'm sharing the moment of joy, you know. But we were all connecting without words, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just like you'll find middle grounds with everyone, you know.
It's really about your perspective. I think that energy that you're talking about, that how you went over there and you had a good time. It's about you. I'm having a good time and my intentions are good. Therefore, I'm receiving good intentions by everybody. And even if they don't, if they have bad intentions or bad energy, you're not going to feel it. It's not going to affect you.
You're not even focused on that.
No, you're not.
That's it, man. It's like you're wearing lens. You know?
If
you're wearing orange lens, all you'll see is orange. You know, if you're wearing love lens, you're going to see love everywhere.
You know? Do you feel like it's a little easier in a touristic area also? Like there's this kind of, like
we
all know why we're here, and it's like, let's have fun.
Yes and no. I mean, it can go both ways. For me, that wall was gone. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm here to experience. But I can see some people, their fear maybe overcomes them, and it's just they go back to old patterns. You know,
it's like going to Cuba, going to the resort instead of going, like, you know, in town kind of thing. I guess that's the circles, like the different Earths we're living on. You know, you're two people literally in Thailand, same flight, same hostel, same whatever. Different
experience completely. Yeah. And you know, I met so many people that traveled solo, and they were like, back home I was like the shyest person, and now and that's what you're talking about. Like when you travel, it's like you can, once you're out of the comfort zone, it's like you can finally be you without the fear of judgment of your friends or your environment, because you literally know no one knows you here. So it's like I can just like I can let go of that guard.
You're at ease. Yeah, exactly. I said, all right, well, I'm this way. Joke around. I'm nice to you, and that's how I am. And people are like, yeah, all right, man.
That's invaluable, right? Like you're able to explore other facets of you, or even just create new sides of yourself that you just can't when you're around friends and family.
Because you're given a story here.
Slap that down. They're like, that ain't you. Slap.
Yeah, you're given a story here. And you're playing by the story that others are reciting back to you also.
Yeah,
you know,
you're listening to other people's fears. You're listening to all these feedbacks from other people, and you want to, no, well, maybe I am, and you start believing, you're in doubt. But when you're alone, you're like, all right, nobody's telling me what. They're just telling me, what's up? How are you? I'm good. Yeah. And then you have that, well, you want to go for a drink, and you go for a drink, and then you have a good time, and you laugh, and this guy's chill. Yeah, I guess I'm cool.
You're listening more deeply when you're traveling also, right? Because if you're getting the same message all the time at home, and whether it be the same environment, the same smells, the same drive to work every day, the same people telling you who you are consciously or unconsciously, then you go to another place and you're listening because you're not hearing the same thing. Like your brain just, you know, with everything, you don't feel the seat, you don't feel the headphones or the, you know, like these things just turn off because your brain goes, okay, I get it. So that's like your life. You're just, okay, I get it, Ing, your whole fucking life. And then you go to fucking India or Thailand or Inuit, and you're just like, you're still you in a completely different pond, and you get to
different pond.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah,
different comfort zone.
Wow, that was
amazing.
Perfect way to end it. Holy shit.
Seriously, I just want to say, you guys, I've been listening to you guys, episode 1 through 8. Now, for the moment, I have to catch up. But thank you very much. This is amazing. And I just like the energy that you had in these conversations before.
Thank you, brother.
And I'm not saying that because he's my friend, because I would tell him, dude, if the podcast sucked, your podcast
I feel like you're
sucks.
the guy to do that.
But it's not.
Yeah, you would.
I would. But it's not bad, man. And I believe in this. Thank you very much for inviting me, man.
Brother, it was a pleasure to talk to you, man.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was a pleasure to meet you, man.
Yeah.
And re-talk to you, motherfucker.
Been a little while, yeah. Dude, long form, and dude, you're like the best hype man ever. I know you said it before, like you have that way to prop people up and stuff, but like, man, I see it. I see you like doing work to get the podcast out, and you do it with Blackburn's podcast too.
Yeah,
the Wicked World podcast.
Wicked World podcast. I try to push people, and if that's what you believe in, then I'll push you up, man. If you have a company, I'll push you up. I should start. Sweet. Johnny Robbins is my name. No,
the hype man. Sick,
that's
man.
The future, man. Yeah. You're joking, but I see it maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know. It's who you are. Yeah, it doesn't have to become a business, but it's who you are, man.
Yeah.
So we'll sign out.
All right, yeah. What, do we say a thing? Stay curious, chimps.
Stay curious. And if you guys want to support us more, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's all Curious Chimps.
What we got?
The cool kids share it.
Yeah, and share it if you're cool. Exactly.
5-star us on fucking
Apple, iTunes, whatever. Just follow us. We're on every platform you can find a podcast. So Spotify, all that stuff.
You don't have to leave a review if you don't want to. Just 5-star us, bro. Do it because you love us.
Patreon's coming soon.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're gonna set that up. And let's thank our sponsors one last time. Born to Rise. BornToRise.net. Check them out. Follow them. They're really amazing what they're building, and they're gonna have a big talk coming up soon, I believe. And get some really cool t-shirts from StylishRemix.shop and use the code name CHIMPS10. Save 10% off your products, purchases, and whatever. And yeah, peace.
We got sponsors.